Good morning, guys. Happy Friday. This is Jason Woodard here, and I am doing this video for a couple reasons. One, I belong to a lot of insurance groups and forums where the newest agents, they kind of get beat up a lot. You've been in the industry 5, 6, 7, 10 years, and a new guy comes into the group and he asks a question that maybe he got recruited into the industry through an MLM company. Maybe a friend just said, hey, come get in the industry, but that friend wasn't really knowing what they were doing, but they thought, maybe they could break into their market by hiring or recruiting that person. And so these uninformed agents, they come into these groups and they get bombarded, made fun of, beat up on. And the thing is I remember what it was like to be that agent. I wanted to make sure that I did whatever it took to be successful. So I took a lot of, bad or sometimes even selfish advice from the wrong people. Okay, so the focus of this group is going to be helping new agents, whether you're captive trying to go independent, whether you're an MLM agent and you realize that maybe that's not for you due to the massive turnover, and then also give you a few tidbits on getting new clients here at the end of this video. So the first thing I want to talk about, this video is called Prospecting's Not Dead. And the reason I'm calling it that is because, especially for my MLM agents that are looking to go, independent, you've faced a few sets of problems. And I made a note here of some of the problems that I faced when I was going through it. Number one, when you're trying to go independent, you realize that you got a low contract as an MLMer. It's going to take you years because your team keeps being rebuilt. A lot of things happen in MLM that's not always in your control. Some is, but not all of it is, right? But one of the biggest problems you're going to face, and may sound familiar too, is that your upline's already sold your warm market, okay? So one way that you get leads when you're new in the business is you talk to people friends, family, acquaintances, business partners, business contacts, between now and your whole life that you've built up, a sort of relationship with these people. And then no matter what company you work for, whichever one it is, maybe a little bit different, but they're going to sit you down and say, write down the name of 25, 50, 100, 300 names, and we're going to call them and set up appointments for you to train and get that done. And the problem is they sell all those clients, and in some cases you're not even licensed yet, so you can't even be paid a commission. And in other cases, your commission is so small that you end up starving while someone else made like an 80-90% override on you, which is crazy to me, but that's just what happens. So long story short is when you're done with all that training and you're finally licensed and they say, hey, you're allowed to go sell, right? I've seen people being told when they were allowed to sell, which doesn't make sense to me, because why would you want to hold somebody back from selling and making a living? But now you're allowed to sell. And then they're going to tell you to go out and recruit somebody else and get into their warm market, which, it works. It's a complicated way of getting into people's markets, but it works. But either way, if you aren't making enough money, you start to break down. People can see it in you. The other people, whether you want to believe it or not, they see that you're going into their market, and then all of a sudden they're going, well, how come I'm not making this money? All those questions go through people's heads. It went through your head, goes through my head. And at the end of the day, their morale starts to drop. They're not booking appointments. And then you get a new turnover. And that's why, especially the MLM version, I remember investing into an office, having 300 agents recruited in a year and having them all go away, right? There's a few brokers and they're doing this, right? And as we would recruit, I'd see a new 100, 200 people every year at Christmas. And to me, they concern me, because in real business models, you're not supposed to be starting over every 12 months, right? Just enough to avoid that chargeback, but that's what would really happen. So they know that as long as they're recruiting, they're always going to be selling to the people they recruit, to their families, and they know that they're always going to have somebody to sell to. But at the end of the day, how many people are going broke? There's 95% people failing out of that model and not making any money, just being told that they're not working hard enough. And a lot of them are working hard enough, just with a little bit more leadership, they could have been better, right? Now, maybe you've graduated from the MLM and you said, man, I want to make this transition over into independent. I want more control over selling to people. So you're going to look at lead cost, right? And you might join a company that's, maybe you're buying leads on your own. Maybe you're buying at-cost leads. Maybe you're buying from your organization who offered you free or finance leads. Now, some of these things are really tricky, guys, because one of those problems is that you get in there and you think you're going to make all this money, but you got to remember, well, what is your contract? Well, if they give you a lower contract, say 50 to 70%, I consider that a little bit lower contract, right? MLMers are starting off at 25 and 30. I mean, that's a ridiculous contract, right? But even at 50 to 70%, that's a little bit lower contract. Now, then they tell you, we'll split, I'll give you the leads for free to finance them, but put us on for 20, 30%. Well, if you do the math on that, now you're back down to that 30% contract and someone's still making a 70% override. If you do the math on that, when you pay 30% on $100 AP client, right, you're paying $300 for a lead. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? The lead cost that you're giving up on your profit margins, right? So one thing we want to do in this group is kind of teach that as well, that when you're looking at leads, there's definitely good leads, bad leads, but you want to try to get your leads either at cost through your people or get them on your own. Okay, if you can't get them at cost, get them on your own, develop on your own, whether it be through maybe you have a social media platform that you're marketing to. Maybe you have a email funnel system, which, by the way, I recommend doing all these things. Buying leads. I still recommend prospecting. I'm going to talk about that in a second because prospecting is not dead. It's just how you're using it. I'm going to recommend doing the social media ads, Facebook leads. It's all good, but do all of it. Don't just do one thing. Don't think that just buying leads is going to make all your money. Don't think that just door knocking. Don't think that just asking your friends and family. It's going to be a combination of a lot of things, okay? Now, social media, let's talk about that for a minute. It is confusing and it can be expensive to learn. So get involved with a group like this one or some other groups where you can learn from some people who, and it's hard. It can be difficult to find people to be transparent. I'll drop a few names as this group grows to connect people to those people that do that. And I have no problem with doing that. I just want to make sure you guys learn how to do this on your own without having to deal with all the drama and stuff that goes along with it, okay? And again, but the biggest problem you guys face, though, again, is because the leads aren't there, because your upline sold your warm market, because social media can be confusing to learn and be expensive, you find yourself where your whole team isn't making a lot of money and then they quit. Maybe you get a bunch of chargebacks. Now you can't make money and it just becomes a disaster. So let's talk about this for a second, okay? What do we got to do? Yes, you got to build a team if you want that. Yes, you got to sell, okay? You got to sell to make money, right? So I'm not going to knock all MLM and I'm not going to knock independent agencies or captive agencies. It's fit in where you get in where you fit in, okay? But what I am going to say this is you learned a lot of valuable skills in the MLM industry. And so I see so many agents come over from MLM or captive agencies where they were taught just to hire people or go out and recruit people, and they don't transfer those skills, okay? And so that's the biggest point of this video today on the education part. Transfer your skills, okay? You might go from a model where all they're telling you is recruit, and sell to those people you recruit and sell in their markets, and then it's like you come over as an independent and someone says buy leads and you stop doing everything you learned, okay? Unless you want to be spending a ton of money on leads, you're going to have to learn how to network. You're going to have to learn how to do email campaigns, funnel systems, social media campaigns, Facebook leads. You're going to have to learn how to do all that. But the three biggest skills that you learned at an MLM that actually benefit you, that you shouldn't have given up, right? Even though you're transferring out of that setup and into a more independent role where you're in control of your business a little bit more, right? You got to remember one, they made you read a lot of books. One of them might have been a book called Icebreakers, right? And you know how to break the ice now. You know how to go up to somebody and say, hey, I don't know you. What do you do? Nice to meet you. Get a conversation going. You know how to exit where you both exchange cards. And you know how to have that talk, right? One of my favorite things to do to people, no matter where I'm at. I don't care where I'm at, right? I kind of call it grow as you go with my guys, right? Grow as you go, prospecting on the fly, whatever you want to say. But what we make sure we do is if you're out and about and you're talking to somebody and if there's an obvious way for you to get an in on the conversation, break the ice, ask what they do. Now, people want to be asked questions. They don't want to be talked to. So one of the greatest things is when you ask somebody what they do, they're naturally inclined to say what? To ask you what you do. That's your opportunity, right? Now, instead of saying, well, you want to go make 10 grand a month? just say, hey, why don't we get together for coffee sometime? Let's exchange cards. I'd love to hear more about what you do. I'd love to tell them a little bit more of what I do. Maybe there's a mutual fit. Maybe we can help each other out, right? It doesn't matter. But make a friend and then just go sit down with them sometime, right? Follow up with them. Say, hey, blah, blah, blah. I was just curious. Since you did tell me you were in this industry and I told you I was in this industry, I was wondering if there was a need. Let's have this talk. Let's have this discussion. That's a great way to break the ice, start a conversation. Starting a conversation is a huge skill you learn at MLM, because most people, when they get into sales, they're really shy and they don't have the experience and they're scared to death about approaching new people and going after new things and trying to create that business. So this is a really good way for you people that have done MLM is hold on to that training, right? Don't let it go. Don't come over and just start cold dialing, new leads, aged leads, whatever they are, because you're not good at that skill set either. Do both. Don't give up your skills, right? But the biggest thing is thick skin. And I think that MLM agents, after enough getting beat up, it works for some. I have some friends that have made millions in the MLM industry. It's just something that I didn't feel was a good fit for me, right? But it did give me what I call thick skin. So when I'm dialing leads, it's okay that I get hung up on. I understand that, especially if you're dialing age leads, if you're a newer agent, I highly recommend that you learn on age leads because they're really cheap, right? And you don't invest a bunch of money most of the time you're leaving these MLMs because you're spending hundreds of dollars a month just to be a part of them, and you're not making any money. I think it's important to, stop that bleeding and create a budget, that's affordable to get you off the ground, put a little money in your checking and savings, and then get going, right? So get some cheaper leads. Now, with these cheaper leads, what's going to be the issue you're going to run into with most of them is they are what we call aged, or they've been around a little while, or that person never got contacted, or maybe they've already bought a policy, and you're going to have to get really thick skin in learning how to talk to these people and handle some of those objections. And that's really something you got good at when you're walking up to people at the bar, the restaurant, the store, an MLM, and you're like, hey, what do you do? And they're like, oh, I'm not interested. And you're like, just trying to keep the conversation going, right? That type of rejection builds thick skin. Let that stuff transfer over, okay? Now, stop prospecting the wrong people, I guess is the way to say it, right? It's good to prospect and meet people that are looking for a job, looking to be hired, but then there's a whole process of getting them licensed if they're non-licensed. Are they going to be a good fit? And you never know until the end, right? Are they going to roll a charge back up to you, whatever. I found that if you want to really make money and stay afloat in the industry, and I say stay afloat, building can take time. I've seen people lying left and right that they've been this level in this company and that level in that company for 3 years, and then 3 years later you finally see a congratulations from the company that they finally achieved that goal, right? And so I know personally it can take years to build up your team and your levels. It really can. Like, people telling you, oh, in 1 year you're going to become this. I've seen it done, yes, but not everybody does it. Matter of fact, the majority don't. So where does your prospecting energy really need to go? Finding clients, finding everyday people that you just talk to and have a great conversation with, build a little trust and rapport so that you can get their number, they can get yours, and you can follow them up. Now you've created your own lead, okay? And I think that that's kind of the biggest thing I wanted to point out there. Now, I'm going to tell you a perfect little story, just so that you understand, and then I'm going to give you a few pointers of things you can do. But there was a lady named Carla, right? And I was coming out of a Winn-Dixie grocery store. We have those here in Florida. Wherever you're at, I'm not sure if you have a Winn-Dixie grocery store or not, but we have a Winn-Dixie here in Florida, and I was coming out of there, and Carla's car was broke down with her husband. Now, they happen to be the perfect age for final expense planning, which is one of the markets I'm in. So they kept looking at me and I kept looking at them, and I knew something was up. And I said, you know what, this is a perfect opportunity for me to introduce myself. I said, hey guys, how are you doing? They said, you wouldn't happen to be able to jump my car. And I said, absolutely I can. So I got everything hooked up. We got their car running. I said, hey, take a second. We don't have to rush. Let it run for a couple minutes. Let your alternator, your battery charge up and all that. Now, this was a great time for me to speak to them. And so I asked them questions, and remember, there's a big thing. You have to ask questions to get them talking. How long have you had this car? How long have you guys been together, right? What were you guys coming to the store here for, right? Now, in those conversations, I politely said, what do you do? Oh, we're both retired. Oh, great. Well, what do you do, Jason? Very nice talking to you. What do you do? Oh, I'm in final expense planning. Oh, so have you guys ever gotten that taken care of or spoke to anybody? No, they haven't. So guess what? Well, give me your number. I'm glad I could help you out today, but I'll give you a call next week. Boom, free lead. How long did that take? Oh, just as long as it took me to jump their car. I drug it out a little bit longer on purpose, right? But you can prospect and grow as you go versus spending 8 hours strapped to a chair just dialing. Now, you should spend a couple hours strapped to a chair dialing, right? At least once or twice a week. But outside of that, you need to learn how to, grow as you go or prospect as you go. Prospecting the right people, prospecting clients. Now, work harder. I'm going to end the video on this. Most agents don't work hard enough as it is. They book 3-4 appointments. They think that's going to work out for them. You're going to need to book 15, 20, 25, 30 appointments a week. You're going to have a lot of people that don't show up. You're going to have a lot of people that cancel on you. And that's normal. Don't get beat up emotionally. Don't get soft and give up and get upset. Get harder, work harder, and understand that that's truly what it's going to take for you to be successful. Too many people are selling the dream and they're not selling the reality. So that's the reality of it is every day you should be tracking your dials, contacts, and appointments. Every day that you dial, maybe it's a couple days a week. When you're running 2-3 days a week in the field, what was the outcome of those events? Was it a no-show? Was it a reschedule? Did you sell them? How much? Did you get any referrals? Are you writing all this stuff down? You have it tracked either through your Google Sheets, through a CRM system, whatever you use, right? Then are you tracking your numbers and your dial to contact and appointment ratio? These are very important things, and if you don't do that, you're not going to know where you're at, and you're just basically winging it, okay? So work harder and get all that stuff under control. Now, a few things you can do to network and get out and meet people more organically is go to events. There's a lot of, get out of your comfort zone. There's a lot of events around town that you can be invited to, a lot of networking events, BNI, Chamber of Commerce events, community involvements where they're doing fundraisers and things to help the homeless in your community. Get involved in that stuff and meet other people that are out to help people, and you're going to be amazed at how many people you can start up a conversation with. Those are all free leads. All you have to do is steer the conversation where you need it to go, okay? And, one thing I would say is this about marketing is don't over-market to friends and family. It becomes painful. It makes you look desperate. It can really make it seem like that's the only people you're selling to. And what will happen is they'll start providing you feedback as if you're desperate, right? And that you don't have anything else to do. Show your friends and family, maybe create a biz page, post to that, do your selling, recruiting, hiring through that, whatever you want to do. But stay normal. Be a normal person. Like, you still have a life. You're not some robot who went to an MLM and gave up your Tuesday nights and your entire identity. You're a human being who likes to go hunting, camping, fishing, rollerblading, bicycling, to the gym, to the movies, whatever it may be. But be you, and don't just change everything about yourself just because you thought you had to become part of this thing, right? So regain control of your life. Remember to grow as you go. Prospecting is not dead, ladies and gentlemen. You do not have to just buy leads, but you do need to do it all, right? So I hope this video helps some of you guys out there, and we'll be releasing a lot of new videos and tips and tricks for you guys over the next few weeks. So have a great day. Happy Friday. Bye-bye.